Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5, at the 2, at the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Kool-Aid, what is going on, everybody? We are back, and I got Grifka here. Grifka, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, just got back in from digging out from that snowstorm we just had.
Oh, man, here in Michigan, man, we love our Lions, but we do not love this weather. Just been ice and snow and just slippery conditions, just been nuts. So anyway, with that being said, man, we're going to talk football like we always do here on the Detroit Kool-Aid cast. Grifka, on my news and notes, did you hear that Bobby Quinn stepped to a mic? So did Matt Pat. We even heard from Terrell Bevel spoke as well. So we got lots to digest there. So my first question to you is, did you hear Bobby Quinn?
One of those things like, nobody's job is safe and we're going to compete type thing. And if, drafting a quarterback with what the amount of fundage you've already had in your quarterback, and we've talked about how either trading him or cutting Matt Stafford would really hamper the salary cap for the next year or two. Taking a quarterback in the first round, and the quarterbacks are in this draft. I don't think any of them are going to be like that outstanding. I just ultimately they're going to fizzle out or just be other guys on the team. So, like I said, him saying anything's on the table is just one of those things, like kind of putting it on record that nobody's job is safe.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought it was just something you say. I mean, sometimes I don't know why these GMs try to drum up interest, when everybody pretty much knows it's not true. Like, I doubt 10 GMs in the league are going, the Lions, they might take a quarterback. They're just doing like we are. They're just going, whatever. But I guess that's just what they do. I don't know why you do things when it's really not effective or nobody believes you. That just seems like wasted time to me. But I thought that was curious. Next thing I had on my list before we had talked about how the Lions can improve, and you loved go get Antonio Brown. He'll be the best receiver on the team. He's a good player. He's talented, and I blew you out of the water for that. And then I said, what about Kareem Hunt, man? He's going to be cheap, which I like, and someone's going to give him a chance. Why don't we have a combo backfield with this guy that you can get for nothing? And he ended up going to his hometown team. Man, I can't talk today, in Cleveland. And $1 million, nothing guaranteed, would be a restricted free agent when it's all said and done. Bobby Quinn said he wanted good people and good players.
Like I said, I think it's one of those things that's more of a, I don't stand for what Kareem Hunt did. I'm not looking to get into anything like that. But the Cleveland Browns, like we had talked about, I think they're one of those teams that's trying to make a splash, trying to get some attention, drum up more support from a team that was pretty much lifeless for how long. They were pretty much off the radar, and this just brings more cameras, to them, makes them a little more, talkative from other people in the NFL. Like I said, I don't think the Lions really want that type of pub, no matter what, no matter how good he could be. I know Michael Roberts, said that he would love to see him get a second chance, but him not signing with the Lions and Bob Quinn saying, I want good people. I guess, if you want a team of Boy Scouts, that's cool. But I know you said before, every once in a while, you got to make a run at somebody who may have a skeleton or two in his closet. But like I said, there's no way I'm standing up for saying what Kareem Hunt was right, was good, or should have done. Was okay. I'm okay with it. I'm not saying that at all. But I can see why Cleveland did it, and I can see why Bob Quinn would say he wouldn't want to do that. So.
Yeah, well, Grifka, you brought up a lot of my points. Is that yeah, no one's condoning what he did, but you were the Cleveland Browns. They're trying to drum up interest. They've never won anything. Like we're the freaking Lions, man. It's been since 1957. We haven't won anything either. Like when are we gonna start? Basically, got an All-Pro running back for $1 million with no like guarantees, no lockdown on his contract. Like if I told you that we got Billy Bob, whose name wasn't Kareem Hunt. He's an all-pro, and hey, I'm only going to pay him $1 million. You'd love it. But like these are the kind of luck of the draws, or like once in a million when a guy like this gets cut away. That I think just like when they wanted to deal Khalil Mack, like another premium pass rusher that's 25 years old or however old he is, and great character, explosive. Those guys aren't going to come up every day. So when they do, you got to be on it. And the best I give them is that these guys interview them, throughout the draft process. They have like investigators that can go and dig up every little nugget of his whole life. So I'm just assuming they know much more than we do. And there must be some more stuff that we don't know about in his past that just says something might creep up again, or it's not just this one issue. Because like I say, we're not making light of it, but you got to give people a second chance. And he didn't seem like a bad guy coming out of school from the interviews and stuff I saw of him. So I think it's just a missed opportunity. I'm not going to it's not going to be the biggest deal in the world. But I mean, when I saw what he got and how there was no anything holding the Browns back, I just thought, man, they might get a steal, and it's going to help their offense, man. They're going to be good once he gets back and gets playing.
Now, just on a side note, I don't want to belabor this point, but do you think it'd be different? I mean, because he was really good, obviously, for what he did for Kansas City, and we all saw in the draft. But you remember Joe Mixon from Cincinnati? We all saw that video right there. Do you think? And Cincinnati still took him eventually in the draft, and he's on the team. If Joe Mixon was and he's a decent running back. He is. He's not great by any stretch of the imagination. He's not that great, but he's decent. Do you think it would be different if he had the years that Kareem Hunt had? Joe Mixon. I'm just kind of saying. Do you think there'd be more of a backlash, or because there's no backlash to it now? I mean, but I think that's maybe what the Lions are worried about. They're afraid of a backlash. And if he was a superstar, great, cool, and people saw what Kareem Hunt did. But Joe Mixon kind of flies under the radar. He's kind of like another guy on the team. He puts up a game here and there, but most of the time he doesn't put out outstanding stats. Do you just think it's because Kareem Hunt was such a superstar? This star was so bright in Kansas City that nobody wants to touch this guy because it's more there? Or if he was just kind of somewhere it's he's decent but not outstanding, he might be able to get away with a little more, Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, and I'm waiting for you to stop so I can blow you up, Grifka. Because first of all, it's a great point you bring up about Joe Mixon, because what he did, in my opinion, if I'm looking at both videos, is way worse. And it got talked about up to the draft, but once he got picked by Cincinnati, I haven't heard peep one, not only about the situation, but to me, not knowing all the behind the scenes, Joe Mixon has been a Boy Scout. Now, I don't know where you're coming off with, he's kind of okay as a game here or there. Grifka, last year, Joe Mixon had 237 carries for almost 1,200 yards, has scored 8 rushing touchdowns, and had a bunch of receiving yards as well. So this guy is a on the come up, Pro Bowler. He's one of my favorite football players in the league. Now, do I love what he did? Absolutely not. Reprehensible. But I think what happens with most people, you see it with celebrities, all these people, they do these horrible things, and it's this hot fire, but then they get a second chance, and as long as they don't screw up again, or it gets forgotten about. Our society is so quick to go. So, I mean, if Kareem Hunt stays on the straight and narrow and we don't hear anything from him, people are going to totally bypass this and judge him what he does on the field. That's just how society is. So I think your Mixon is a good example, because if that happens for the Browns, it's an incredible hire. And we saw it with the guy in Cincinnati. I mean, I would love Joe Mixon's talent on the Lions roster, but nobody wanted to touch him to the third round because of what he did, and they got a crazy value. So anyway, we got to keep it moving, but I think you're right that it has to do with the immediacy, but it's not that Kareem Hunt was this incredible player and Joe Mixon is this mid-tier, low-tier guy. I think they're about at the same level. It's just that Kareem Hunt's happened, X amount of months ago, and Joe Mixon's was a couple years ago. So people have moved on, and he hasn't screwed up yet. Like if he does something terrible next year, people are going to be going crazy about it. So the Lions have to consider it. I mean, when Bob Quinn takes that, good guys, good players type of thing, that really pigeonholes you on, okay, when do you give someone a second chance? Because when you do, everybody's going to bring it up, and that's what I'm worried about when he says stuff like that. It's like, okay, what if another good player with a little bit of checker pass and he does grab them? People can be like, hey, didn't you say you didn't want those type of people? And now he's got a double issue rather than just saying, hey, we didn't think Kareem Hunt fit our team at this time. He could have done that. So anyway, they missed out on him. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us, but like I say, carry on, feed him. Griff, I got one more quick news and notes. So I guess there's a schedule leak. It looks like we're going to play in Chicago on Thanksgiving again this year. They beat us up. Hopefully we can beat them up on Turkey Day here in 2019. But did you hear the thing about Taylor Gabriel, I guess, slipped on Twitter and put, Lions on Turkey Day, easy W. And then he quickly deleted it. Bro, you can't delete Twitter. Someone's grabbed it. All the Lions players, everybody in the league saw this thing, and everybody's going at him like, you see this about Taylor Gabriel, and first of all, Grifka, answer me, who the heck is Taylor Gabriel anyway? What a bum.
Yeah, that's all I feel. I'm like, who are you? When's the last time Taylor Gabriel did anything in the NFL to say anything? I mean, easy W. It's just like,
he's made like 3 plays.
Play last year?
3 plays whole life.
I mean, were you on the team? I mean, I don't remember seeing you catch any passes or do anything great. So for you to say like, easy W, I mean, okay, there, Mr. Coattail. Congratulations, because they allowed you to put on a helmet every once in a while. You have the right to go shoot your mouth off. I mean, that team was good because of the defense, not because of you, Taylor Gabriel. So, yeah, go ahead, say something, easy W. I mean, okay, congratulations, man. Everybody says, in the pros, you don't need billboard material. Whatever, man. Pros look at that thing, and they're going to see that guy, and, they're going to be talking junk when he's not catching anything, and the Lions are whooping up on him twice, in 2019. It's like, yeah, thanks, Taylor Gabriel, if you even make the team, okay? So...
I mean, it's been crazy. Like, Diggs is going at him. Slay had something to say. Like, this is a whole nother topic. Maybe we can get into it in another show, Grifka. But Kyle Van Noy was on Good Morning Football, and oh my gosh, he was hilarious. He seemed like the greatest guy ever. It just hurt me that why couldn't he do that in a Lions uniform? But I guess he put on Twitter to I think it was to Diggs. He said, yo, what up, Diggs? What's Taylor Gabriel saying about your squad or something? And they put #instigator. Just trying to start up a fight, and they were just going I guess they still really like Kyle Van Noy, but I know there's some other Lions fans on Twitter that are just going at Taylor Gabriel and, we'll see you next year, like, wait till you come over the middle, Diggs will be looking for you. And I'm just like, oh man, this is good stuff. Only, like you said, it's coming from a number 4 receiver that's probably made 3 plays in his life in Atlanta, and just over there talking noise. So I thought we'd just bring that up. But like you say, anything to get the boys going on Turkey
that's
Day.
Like when hate to break it, it's like when Brett Favre played, and if Doug Peterson said something, it's just like, dude, you never touched the field. I mean, shut up.
Right.
Who are you? I mean, yeah, Doug Peterson, you played really well in the preseason, then never touched the field during the regular season. Okay, Taylor Gabriel, yeah, keep talking, man. I mean, I can't remember the last time you actually caught a pass.
Yeah, so like you say, man, funny to see that, and I love when players tweet something stupid and then it's always reported and moments later he deleted it. It's like, oh man, then the PR people were right on the phone, or he just realized what a stupid thing. I mean, it's just hilarious. So, Grifka, that's all I got news and notes, man. Today we're doing a Koolaid rewind on the Seattle Seahawks game. You ready to do this?
Yeah, let's make our way through this tough slogging game here.
All right, and right before we do, we're going to do a quick pause for the cause for one of our sponsors. So, Grifka, we've had a couple fun Kool-Aid rewinds. We got to talk about the Patriots win. We got to go down to Miami and play incredible. We've had some fun. Now, unfortunately, the season's kind of get turns on us here. We have a big game against Seattle. We just acquired Snacks Harrison. We're feeling good. We're 3-3 at this point. And the Seahawks come to town. And this one isn't going to be as fun to review. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to go blow by blow, do some things that jumped off to me when I turned the tape back on, and get you involved as we go along. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, let's work our way through this painful game.
So, Grifka, my first note for the game is I put Okwara had a nice sack on Seattle's first drive to make them punt. And the reason I wrote this down, too, is if you go back and watch it, it was one where he rushed off the right end. Russ kind of sprinted out the other way like he normally does, spin move out to the other side. And if you watch it closely, like Okwara didn't go right for him. He kind of kept his outside leverage, kept him in the pocket, and he shuffled his way back to the middle, and Okwara was able to put him on the ground and make him punt. So I thought it was a great play, great disciplined play by him. And Seattle had been moving the ball decently, so to be able to get him to punt there, I thought was a nice little play right off the get-go.
Yeah, that was nice. I hit the bell. I agree with you. I noticed that as well. I jotted down that same note.
Next item, I just put there was really nowhere for Carry-On to run early in this football game. Stafford seemed to be pretty accurate, but it was all on these short passes. I mean, I've really been watching Stafford close, and we loved what we saw on some of the victories. And he didn't play that bad in this football game when you look at the numbers, but I was a little frustrated in the beginning that he was dinking and dunking. His feet, he just kind of looks like a scarecrow back there. The way he's standing, he's not bouncing around. He's not able to quickly move and throw. It's usually 1, 2, 3 pass without letting some things develop. So I put that as a note. Right after that, though, I got a great play by number 9 to buy time on this play. He kind of did get back in the pocket, was able to step up. I think he slid to the left and was able to crank a deep ball down the left side and Marvin for a touchdown. What did you think about that play, Grifka?
Nice read because there was a little bit of pressure and he was able to make his way out of the pocket. And it was a nice catch and he fit it in there perfectly. And Marvin Jones made a nice catch, for a touchdown. So that's one of those things like watching the game again. They just seem to be moving. Like you said, it was a lot of short passes, but I mean, on that drive, he hit Tate a couple times for some first downs. He hit our new tight end, Toilolo, who we might have found something with him, as the new tight end. But he was, like you said, Carry-On didn't have a whole lot of space. It looked like Seattle was planning to stop the run and make Stafford beat him with his arm. And that first drive, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, man, good take by you. What I thought real quick on it was the way it looked just like I think it was 2 touchdowns over the last handful of games that got called back, where he kind of moved up, threw a nice laser down that left sideline. Touchdown, I was waiting for the flag, and I was like, oh, wait, that was a Green Bay game, and then, Miami game or whatever it was, where they took a couple touchdowns off the board on similar type plays. But, yeah, heck of a throw by Stafford. Marvin with the sliding type catch, really nice. This was Snack's first game, as I said. I thought he made a difference right away. I know they even caught a couple comments from Spielman where the first few plays they were getting running yards with Carson and this and that. And then I think it was probably the 5th play of the game or something. They subbed in Snacks. And right off the first play of the game, they tried to run it. He stuffs up the middle. Next play, stuffs up the middle, and Spielman was loving it. He was like, that's why he goes, there's your 5th-round pick. I'll take it all day. He was loving it. So you had to notice that too, Hunger, because Snacks jumping off the tape right off the get-go in a Lions uniform.
Yeah, and I remember I went back after watching the game, rewatching it, and I remember the headlines reading some of the comments from the week of that game prior to the game that they were going to try to bring him along slow, not play him the whole time. And you could tell, like you said, those first few runs, Carson was just gashing them. And then even when he wasn't in there later, Carson was getting the bigger runs. I know we'll cover this, but Carson had over 100 yards that game, and he just had some massive holes. But those holes weren't there when Snacks was in the game. So, it's he's obviously the big difference on that defensive line the team needed.
And that was our first look at him. It was just kind of okay, this guy is living up to his hype and does seem to be good. But, man, throughout the rest of the season, as we know now, he really did totally change that defense and make a huge difference in the middle with the scheme that we play. So that was awesome to see. Next note I've got here, unfortunately, is a TD to Tyler Lockett versus Nevin Lawson. I mean, I put here Lawson is there, but he just can never make a play on the football. I mean, it's great coverage, but it's terrible coverage because he's right there in his hip pocket. He can't turn his head. He can't get his hands up. He can't do anything. Tyler Lockett just jumps over and makes the catch for a touchdown. Tyler Lockett was one of my picks to click this last year in fantasy. I grabbed him in a few leagues, and, man, did he have a tremendous year and is ascending player for Seattle, no doubt
Yeah.
about it. So that makes it 7-7 in the football game.
Even on that drive, though, I mean, I don't want to belabor or belittle the Lions' defense after just talking about snacks, but Russell Wilson used his feet really well, and it didn't seem like the Lions had that much of an answer for him. I mean, there's a couple times on that drive he was able to scramble out of pressure, get up, make a pass, or at least run away and pick up a few yards, and that really led to that drive where it continued. What Wilson was able to do, continued to keep the drive alive, which allowed him to get that touchdown to Lockett, which I know you really like Lockett, so. And I just really dislike Nevin Lawson, so way to get both names in that play.
Absolutely, man. And I just want to encourage all the Kool-Aid drinkers too. Just jump on YouTube real quick, and you can pull up, I think it's a 9 or 10 minute set of highlights for this game. You can pretty much rewatch the game. Me and Griff have been using NFL Game Pass where we can get the condensed version. But we encourage all you guys, either after you listen to our Kool-Aid rewinds or maybe before we do these, you go on there, jump on and catch these games, because it is interesting to watch it back and remember some of these plays or remember some of the things you forgot. So I would love to forget this next play, Grifka, but right after the Lockett touchdown, they kick it to your boy, Amir Abdullah. Oh, wait, that was my guy. And he puts the ball on the turf. As Griff has said, he either puts himself on the turf with a gust of wind or he puts the ball on the turf. Here he goes fumbling on a kickoff. And I put right here just a side anecdote. This was the end of Amir Abdullah as a Lion, basically, on this play.
I don't even want to talk about this.
Take a couple cheap shots.
I don't even want to talk about this play because you know how I felt about Amir Abdullah. I always thought it was wrong for him to, I don't know how you can put a guy with fumble problems on the kickoff team with guys barreling down on you, ready to knock you over. And that makes sense. We got butter sticks for hands, and we're gonna put him as the guy holding the ball with guys running full speed down at you. It's like, hey, try to break these guys' tackles. Yeah, good thinking. So that's enough of that.
That's a Grifka bell, because if everybody hasn't heard, go back in the archives and listen to our shows and listen to Grifka bring that same point up a million times. Again, give him credit when he's right. I thought Amir Abdullah still had athleticism and shake. He ended up having nothing except butter stick hands, like you say, and ended up costing us big, because soon after that touchdown to David Moore, I wrote who with a big question mark in big letters. Who the heck's David Moore? All I know is that he beat Tees with his strength, and Tabor just had bad position, bad balance, bad everything. 14-7 Hawks before I could blink. You know what I mean? Just ridiculous. I put here, Tees has to turn his head. There was a play soon after this. I think the Seahawks end up getting the football back. They throw it deep down the field. Again, another catch right over top of Tees. Doesn't get his head around, doesn't make a play on the football. The guy makes the catch. As he's turning to go down, Tees actually does make a good play and gets his hand in there, knocks the football out. It's clear as day. And the nice Zebras go in and review this thing after, I think, a challenge from Matt Pat. And they call it a catch. I mean, I know they have some new rules, but this guy barely had the football at all. Then he's backpedaling, so he's not like he's making any kind of movement. They're calling it a football move. He's falling down, and he hits the ground, and as he's hitting the ground, the ball's squirting out. Like, that's a no catch, Griff. Could tell me this was just a ridiculous call when you saw it again.
That would just irritated me. Then they bring up my boy Dean Blandino. I could go suck on a grenade. But, I mean, come on, man. Really? Yeah, like you said, it's football movies. He's backpedaling, trying to keep his balance. That's like, oh, that's a football move. So you're saying the third move, his football move, is actually falling to his butt? I mean, come on, Dean.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
what happened to possession? Like, I never had possession. He had it like squeezed while Tees kind of is pushing him down with his hand on. I don't call that full control of the football.
Yeah, I mean, which was such a joke, and I saw that. I'm just, I made the same note. I'm just like, bad turnover. I mean, bad call. I mean, that's horrible. I mean, that's under the new rules. He gets the 1 foot, the third step. You mean as he's falling to his butt, he puts his foot down once again, trying to maintain his balance, obviously, to stay up. But that's all it was. He was just falling to his butt, and like that's the third step, which signifies the football move. It's like whatever.
And and the other thing I hate about it is because I do like the rule where I don't think you should have to catch the ball, hit the ground, roll over 3 times, hold it, get up, hand it to the referee for it to be a catch. No, I think if you catch it, you get your feet down or you turn up field. And then you go out of bounds, it gets knocked out. It should be still a catch. I'm all for that. But this was so bang. It was like he might have hit the ground for a tenth of a second, but the ball was already getting kind of pushed out by the defender. Like, it was just so obvious. But how they called it good, I mean, just shook my head of like I was just waiting for a grift. That wouldn't happen in the Packers, Steelers, Cowboys, it's Patriots game. You know, one of those classic bits by you. But you didn't go there, so I'm proud of you. So let's keep this thing moving. We'll get through this game for everybody. You know, right after that, you know, a TD right over Diggs. Again, we've been giving Diggs a lot of credit as we've been doing these rewinds, and when he sees it, he hits it and goes. But this was one of those where he had good coverage. You know, tell me if you've heard this before. He was there and couldn't play the football, and the guy just jumped right over him for a touchdown, 21-7 Hawks at the half.
That was Dixon, right? Yeah, once again, like you said, Lions just have trouble covering that tight end. That's their kryptonite.
It's like Seattle wanted these balls more, though. Like, they were basically 50-50 balls, only the Seahawks made them like 90-10 balls by just jumping over our guys, sticking their hands over our guy's face and making these catches for first downs, touchdowns, everything. And then, hey, Grifka, look at this. After half, big play by Dixon. No one even covered the tight end on the play action. They just ran a simple, I think it was 3rd and short. They ran like the most basic play action fake, and no one covers him. He runs off to the right, and I mean, I could have thrown this ball to him. He scored, what do you get, about 50
that
on
was
this
like
play?
One of those plays in the old Madden games, like Madden 94 or something, like where the play action always worked no matter what. You know, it's like, you know, it's not like, you know, as Madden went along, it got more and more defined, tougher to. It was just like, I remember those old Madden games. You would always run a play action, and it seemed like everybody got sucked up. You know, the defensive line, the linebackers, the defensive backs, the popcorn carrier, the coaches, and like whoever was whoever you're throwing to was just standing wide open. And that's what it reminded me of right there. It's just like, does anybody realize this guy's running a route right now? But
exactly. And this usually happens on the goal line, but it happened about midfield. He almost scores on the play. It's just bad defense. I mean, we have to pay more attention on these little plays. I don't mind selling out when you think you know the play and getting burned every once in a while, but it happens way too often with the Lions. So fast forward in here in the game, you know, the Seahawks put another big drive together, or I think maybe it was the end of this drive because Dixon didn't score. We were able to get him to the ground. It ends up being 4th and goal. And the Lions, like, what happened? Oh, yeah, 4th and goal. The Seahawks show us no respect. They go for it. They hike it. You know, Russell Wilson is just dead to rights. He starts running around 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, but somehow we can't get there with our pass rush. He kind of moves around and throws a nice, easy touchdown to Nick Vannett, I think it was, their tight end. And then we get saved. He was out of bounds, first man to touch, and it's not even like a penalty. It's just a loss of down, and we get the football. So it's like a 4th down where we got burned and they scored on us, yet we stopped them and turned it over.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
I know you hate when I say stuff, but that just seemed like a total Lions play right there. It seems like only Lions, but
exactly. We need those to happen when, like, the stupid Atlanta game where we lose a game on a dumb call like that. Instead here, we get the football, but then we just do nothing with it. So
I want to step back for a second. That happened, that touchdown in like the 4th quarter, and I know the 3rd quarter wasn't all that impressive, you know, with sustaining drives. But I was watching the game. I watched in the 3rd quarter. Did it seem like the Lions changed the game plan a little bit at halftime? Instead of like trying to continue to run, you know, carry on, it seemed like they got him out in the backfield more, you know, out in the flats, or at least, you know, on little wheel routes. They seemed to use him more, catching the ball out of the backfield. And it made me wonder, like, why they kind of stopped doing that at points, because at points they were moving the ball, and then they'd get away from that, and, you know, the drive would stall and they'd have to punt. But I always kind of wonder, like, why wouldn't they do more of that? I mean, yeah, it's like it was always out to the flat. You know, why don't they do that? You know, where they fake the dive, and, you know, it's like a play action, but then the running back fakes the dive, fakes the block, then just kind of goes to the middle and is like standing there in the middle. They kind of run that with Theo Riddick every once in a while. Can't understand why they didn't run that with like Kerryon Johnson either. But I mean, did you see that, or did you even think that while watching that? Because that's what I thought. The Lions used them more in the 3rd quarter than what they were in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good observation by you. I mean, he definitely got more in the pass game. He ended up with 6 receptions for 69 yards and only 22 yards in the rush game. I mean, couldn't get anything going in the rush game. But the reason I didn't bring it up, Griff, because I see a double goose egg here in the third quarter. Like, nothing happened for either team on the scoreboard. But yeah, not only did they change it up and get him more involved, but again, this was just a nice reminder for us and for the other Kool-Aid drinkers that watch it. Kerryon Johnson catch the football, and when he does, he's dangerous. They ran a couple nice screens, or they slinged it out to him, and man, when he gets his stride going, he kicks it into first gear like nice and quick, like a nice Ferrari. So I did love seeing that, no doubt about it.
Sorry, anyway, continue back to the fourth quarter. Let's just kind of move on here. After the touchdown makes it 28-7.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. And then it seems like we bring it up every game, but I had to make a note of this. You just talked about Kerryon. Crazy stiff arm, throws him to the ground, an absolute just grab his face, choke slam again by number 33. You had to love it.
Yeah, that guy's, like I said last game, we were talking about those 3 plays where he threw Kiko Alonso to the ground. The guy's got some strength, man.
And the thing I was going to say that's crazy when you brought up the pass catching, like, I love, and for years I've loved Seattle's linebackers, man. Bobby Wagner, man. If we had a guy like that, I mean, I'd absolutely love it. KJ Wright is actually a free agent, and I love what he does as well. They just have nasty, good, smart coverage type linebackers, but they weren't able to deal with Kerryon out of the backfield. You're right on that. Again, unfortunately, I've got a deep ball on tees. Once again, just chalk it up. Carson, the running back for Seattle, I have just with a man's game touchdown. He ran over, I want to say it was Diggs, and Jared Davis tried to get in there on the side as well. He basically ran through both those guys, 28-7 Hawks, 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Lions come back. Amazing touchdown throw to Marvin Jones. I thought he absolutely, Matt Stafford, this is his favorite throw in football, is when, somebody runs basically a go route down the sideline, but the cover corner is in zone and he lets him go, and the safety doesn't get over quick enough. Matt Stafford just laser beam between the two, touchdown to make it 28-14. Now, when this happened, I was kind of going, is this one of those comebacks where they got close? I couldn't really remember the game. But we're going to see here shortly. It turned quickly. Did you have anything on that Marvin touchdown? Do you really love that one, Griffith?
No, I mean, it was just another nice catch by him. It was one of those things where,
it was a nice catch. Since
Golden Tate was gone, I thought, because this was Golden Tate's first game gone. Is that correct? No. Next one is, sorry. I'm getting my games mixed up. Yeah. But he really stepped up in this game, where he seemed like other games he wasn't quite as he didn't have stats, but he had a good game. I think, I jotted it down. He had 7 catches for 117 yards and those 2 touchdowns. And but a lot of those, they were nice passes by Stafford, but Marvin Jones made some great catches on those too. They just weren't like those pedestrian, guy standing wide open. He had to make some moves to get open. Stafford made the throw, and Marvin Jones made nice catches.
Yep, I agree with you. I put here a great 3rd and 1 stop by JD. Seahawks got the football back. They're trying to run some clock at this point. 3rd and short. Jared Davis comes in, absolutely swallows up the running back. Lions get the football back. You're thinking, they can come back and put some points on the board. Could be a good thing. Next thing you know, we get the ball. We actually started with a decent drive. We're about midfield. Matt Stafford steps up in the pocket. I don't know what he's doing. He seems like he's being robotic, like he always has 2 hands on the football. But then when he gets a little bit of a rush, he takes the one hand off, and he just got lazy with it and put it on the ground. Those are the ones that kill me. Like, if you're fighting for every yard and somebody strips it out, no big deal. But when you just kind of lose it out of your hand, or we're going to see later with another play that he had, those are the ones I'm going to kill him on, because those are just plays you not only don't have to make, you can't make as a franchise quarterback, as a 10-year vet. It's just inexcusable. So. Right here, we got a big sack by Snacks Harrison in his debut. I want to say maybe he had 2 in this game, but this was one I noted. He got good pressure, kept fighting, and just kind of swallowed up the quarterback. Again, turning the football over to us. The referees give us a ridiculously generous PI where Matt Stafford just guns it 60 yards down the field to Marvin. Uncatchable, not even close, but they call pass interference and give us basically 60 free yards. I thought that was funny. And then I don't know what Matt Stafford's doing, Griffith. I remember us talking about this one. He's down tight. He's within the 10. He just made a good little run, I think, to move the sticks, make it 1st and goal from I want to say, around the 5. he gets the ball and rolls out to right, and Golden Tate's nowhere open. He's got a guy behind him. He's got a corner right in front. He just throws the football. I don't know. He thought maybe he could just graze it over his hand, but the guy's right there. He just intercepts the football, basically ends the game. What'd you think about that play?
I believe on that play, he already had his mind made up who he was going to. And,
yeah.
Because if you kind of, it doesn't, if, I can't remember. I watched it not too long ago, and I can't remember him like kind of doing a check off. You know, it might have been one of those things like, oh, he looks off the safety, you know, like one of those quick glances, but, you know, the pros are good enough to realize, okay, you're not looking at my way. And it's because when that pass play came out, when he threw it, if you look how many Seattle defenders are over there. And the guy's working his way over there to make the pick. So obviously he was locked onto this guy for a while, and he wasn't fooling anybody. So I think he had his mind made up, you know, oh, check off the safety, look at this guy, I'm going to throw him the ball. But by that point, either Seattle had, like, you know, done their homework and saw the play and they kind of knew what was coming, or that checkoff didn't fool anybody.
Yeah, and my big issue is, like, anytime you roll the quarterback, I feel like you're cutting down the field in half or in, you know, 3/4 by rolling to the short side like they did. And like you said, just a bunch of players over there and not much place to go. And as the people always say, don't throw back across your body. Even that's usually the play that works, you know, on those type of plays where you're really in tight, you can sneak somebody out the backside because everybody knows you're going at short side. Like I said, I think he's predetermined. I think he trusted his arm too much. And it wasn't even one of those like, oh, if he'd have just thrown it a little bit high. It was like, you know, he would have had to get it way higher, and if he does, it's uncatchable at that point. So I just thought it was a terrible decision. I mean, like I said, basically ended the game. Next thing I know, the Seahawks get the football back. We stop them really deep in their end. So it's like, okay, maybe we'll get the ball back, and maybe we can, you know, come down and get points, onside kick, something like that. And they end up fake punting it in their own end zone, which is ridiculous. And then I guess, remember the rumor innuendo was like he's supposed to sort of run out of the back of the end zone, but he saw that nobody was over there, so the kicker has the cojones just to take off. But then when I watched it on replay, what I hated so much, I think it was Mike Ford. He's over there playing the gunner role. It's pretty obvious this guy's been rolling out for I don't know how long. He's not punting the football. And he doesn't come up and just crack this kicker. Once he does see it, he tiptoed his way up and like tagged him down like it was flag football when you were 6 years old at the rec league. I mean, come up and just level this guy and try to get the ball out, or I don't know what he was doing, but that ended the game. And that was one of those plays that was talked about. And it was like, it was just one of those embarrassing plays where not only did it work, but the way it worked and the fact that they did a fake punt in their end zone up on us, and it worked and ended the game. Just Pete Carroll over there chomping on his gum, loving it. Just annoyed me like to no end. So I just put here, man, we just weren't good enough. Bottom line.
Yeah, the lines just didn't look. You know, there was a couple times where they just looked sharp. They did, where they put nice drives together, good plays. But like I said, most of the game they just did not look good, and that fake punt just kind of sealed it. That right there was just a face palm. That's all it is. It's like, you know, like, what are you guys thinking? They're, you know, I mean, because they were backed up, you know, I mean, they were really backed up. It's not like, you know, it was one of those, you know, oh, they just gave the punter some space, you know, and from the punt. No, I mean, they were deep in their ends. They were deep in their end, and they still just like, oh,
Rivka,
he runs down the back line of the end zone, just like, oh, there's nobody there. I'll cut it up. And it's just like, give me a break, you know. I mean, what are you?
Yeah, Grifka, I would say he was pretty deep. He was in the back of the end zone, and then he ran through the back of the end zone up to about the 10-11, wherever the first down marker was, ran about 20 yards, and we couldn't make a play on the dang punter. Like, you got to be kidding me. So, anyway, what we want to do, Grifka, I got a couple quick little discussion questions, but we got some listener questions from the Koolaid drinkers via Twitter, so we want to get to those. But let me hit you with a couple quick things here. To me, it didn't seem like we were tough enough in this football game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know you make fun of me and you laugh at me. I don't know if it was in like the Lions had like that West Coast team coming east, but Seattle just came in and they just punched him in the mouth from the jump. I mean, they
hold on. They punched him in the mouth
candy,
and what?
And you're right. They just did not seem. It seemed like, you know, Seattle wanted it more. It's like they wanted to put that to bed, saying that, hey, we don't care. Like you said, the first few plays, Snacks wasn't in there. There was these huge gaping holes. The offensive line just blowing holes open for Carson, and he's just run up the middle. Snacks comes in there, shut that down. Seattle switched up the game plan, does a little more pass. I thought Russell Wilson. I mean, that dude he was putting it in there. I mean, he was just making perfect passes. I mean, there was a lot of the plays where Lions defensive backs had good coverage. Like you said, either weren't getting their head around, but he was putting it in there. When the guys were catching the ball. I mean, that's just Seattle. They just wanted that game more. And you can say, oh, everybody works hard, everybody wants to win, but Seattle just looked like the much tougher team on that Sunday.
Yeah, and I was so frustrated because it's a home game. We got some mojo. We're playing good football. And it felt like right from the start, they were just bullying us in the run game. As you say, Russell Wilson, I'm looking at his numbers here, 248, 3 touchdowns. I mean, they were just kind of pinpoint when they needed him, 3rd and long, 3rd and medium. In the red zone, he was just pinpoint. I feel like they just – all the little plays, all the plays that matter in a tough football game beat us, and that's why they beat us on the scoreboard. Now, is it just me, Grifka, or is this one that we can pin on Matt Stafford for his turnovers? The fumble, I want to say maybe even had another fumble in this game, and he had the pick down deep. I mean, to me, that'll get you beat most weeks.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, those turnovers didn't help, but the fumble and the pick, those were like late in the game. I wouldn't say Stafford killed us on this one. I just think Seattle was just the better team that day. I honestly believe that's what it was. And they were the Lions were slow to make adjustments with Carry-On being stuffed early. And like I said, in the second half, in the third quarter, it looks like they used him a lot more. But they just, they saw it wasn't working early, and they seemed to keep kind of doing the same stuff. And, no offense to LeGarrette Blount, but that guy's better days. I mean, that guy got old really fast this year, so they tried using him a bunch, and he just wasn't that good either.
Every week you got a bag on LeGarrette Blount, Grifka, but I got to disagree with you, man. Matt Stafford, his fumble was at midfield when they had a good drive going. It stalled them out. The pick, which when I was a bad decision, it's inside the 5 or 10 yard line, and that would have made it 21-28 with plenty of time to kind of play defense and get the football back and make a play. So, we always say the football games come down to a couple plays. Like, I can't think of many other plays in the game other than, a couple 50-50s by Seattle's receivers, which we talked about, that swung it one way or the other. I mean, yeah, we got beat up a little bit, just physically, as we said, but we don't have those turnovers. I think it's a different football game. But anyway, last item I had for you, is it just me? I wonder if the Lions are going to be like this with, I can't believe I forgot his name in the beginning, Darrell Bevell as our offensive coordinator. Didn't it feel like Seattle just beat us by 1,000 paper cuts? They would just slam us on 1st and 2nd down, move the chains on 3rd, slam us, on 1st, throw a nice ball on 2nd, do these little plays, work their way down the field, and then we're just dynamite in the red zone. I hated watching it on tape. I thought maybe that's what the Lions can end up being, where they're balanced, they're physical, they're good, and they just can end up frustrating people by making all the little plays, all the plays that matter, and just winning more than they lose, which seems to be what Seattle does.
Well, yeah, if that's what the Lions want to go for, cool. I'm all for it, whatever wins the games. But that offense works when you're ahead of the chains. And like you said, the Seattle Seahawks were getting good yardage on 1st downs. They always seem to have 2nd and medium, 2nd and shorts. They didn't have too many 2nd and longs. 2nd and 7, 8, 9 yards, something like that. They always seem to be playing ahead of the chains. So that type of offense works when you can keep your whole playbook. That allows you to run whatever you want because you're ahead of the chains. And that's, if the Lions are going to do that, great. But you're right, that's 1,000 paper cuts right there, because they didn't expect Russell Wilson to drop back, gun one, 70 yards down the field. They didn't have these short passes that went, for long touchdown runs by the wide receiver afterwards. No, they didn't have any explosion plays, but it was just methodical. They matriculated down the field, and at points it just seemed like the Lions could not get off the field.
Yep, I'm right there with you. So tough loss for our Lions. It's one that I remember before the game. Everybody's like, "Oh man, they come in and get Seattle, and then they've got they're heading to Minnesota. This could really be a swing point for the Lions." But we just didn't play tough enough. Didn't show up. Didn't make the plays later in the football game that might have turned it around and took a big L. So, Grifka, we're going to take a quick pause here for another one of our sponsors, and we just want to say thanks to everybody for listening to the Kool-Aid Cast, and these sponsors are really helping us out and helping us grow the show, so we're going to pause for that. And when we come back, we are going to play a little fun game with Grifka. It's going to be Valentine's Day tomorrow once this podcast drops, and I'm going to play a little like, love, or break up with Grifka right when we come back. Right when we come back. Right when we come back. All right, Grifka, so we're back. We did some news and notes. We talked about this football game. We're ready for our question segment. And Grifka, it's that time of year where love's in the air, Valentine's Day, buddy. And I thought I'd hit you with like, love, or break up. And the way we're going to do this is some real quick hitters. I'm going to name some players, and you got to tell me, do you like this guy? Do you love him? Or do you need to break up and you just want this guy gone? You ready for this?
Yeah, let's do this.
Grifka, like, love, or get the heck out of here. Tease Tabor, Grifka.
Tease Tabor. I know you want this quick, but I liked Tease when they drafted him. So to me, Tease was that hot chick you always wanted to date, and then you finally get the opportunity, and then you realize she's not that smart or she's just not nice, and you're like, gosh, I got to get rid of you. I can't stand you. That's what it is. Break up. I'm sorry, Tease. Thanks for showing up. I'm sure I'll see your jersey in the pro shop here marked at $120 because it's game cut. So see you later, Tease.
Now, Grifka, you said that girl that seemed amazing but wasn't that.
Not that great.
Wasn't that. And then, are you at least going to take Tease out to Ruth Chris before you boot him?
So more of an Applebee's.
All right, so Tease, sorry, I'm a new. Grifka's going to give you the boot, man. Next one, Grifka. I'm curious to see how you feel about a certain Mr. Jalen Reeves-Maben.
Gosh, I still, he didn't really show up last year. I don't know if they're using him right. I still like him. I think he's got a spot on this team. I just don't know if they're using him correctly, but I still like him. I like his speed. I think he's got decent coverage ability. I still like him. I'd still keep him around.
All right, Grifka, do you still are you still in love, or are you ready to just call it quits with this guy? Glover Quinn.
Oh gosh, he was another one that seemed to age fast. He was the Friday night hookup at the local watering hole, and you get up Saturday morning and go, wow, this person's older than I thought. Sorry, man. You were great while you were here. Sorry, it's time to go. Sorry, time to break up.
Grifka, I think I know this next relationship, what you're going to want to do, but this is an expensive date, Grifka. This is just, you put a lot of time and money into this one. How do you feel about the situation with Rick Wagner?
Rick Wagner. Rick Wagner is the one who always is like, I need more cash to go get this. I need more cash to go with this. And you're like, okay, great. You just handing out stacks and never coming back with anything. Time to break up.
Oh man. I just got a couple quick ones. We'll hit these pretty quick. TJ Lang.
I still like TJ Lang. If he comes back, I think he's solid. I gotta like him at the right price. That's the biggest thing.
Do you love him? You don't love anybody, Grifka. It's Valentine's Day.
Sorry.
Theo.
If you want me to love, so I would love Theo. I don't know if this year. If age is catching up with him, but I still like what his skill set, his third down skill set that he brings. He doesn't mind blocking on the blitz, and he can still catch the ball. He's still got a little shifty to him. So yeah, I'll go with the love. I still love Theo.
Grifka, the final name, the name that everybody's been waiting for. Do you love, or have you just somewhat had enough and are ready to move forward. Matthew Stafford Grifka.
I'm going to go with like. I mean, probably a couple of years ago, I would have been with Love, but I'm going to go with like. I'm going to like him until I can see what he can do in this new offense.
Okay. Are you looking around, Grifka, or are you liking and also not looking at this point?
Yeah. Let's put it this way: I might start looking around. I might start to wander come game 5 or 6. You know, if he's looking like he did like last year, it might be one of those things like when we're out together and I see somebody walk by, I might give it a casual head turn, make it look like looking at something else and checking out somebody else.
All right. Well, we had a little fun with that. I mean, those are going to be names we bring up a lot because they are players that are going to be tough decisions or players that, hey, we're hoping we love a lot of those names on that list because they could help us to make plays in 2019. But like you say, I know everybody out there is kind of curious. So we had a little half Valentine segment with Grifka. Now I want to get down to a couple questions that were sent in by our Detroit Koolaid drinkers on Twitter. You ready for a couple of these questions to you, Grifka?
Let's knock these out.
This first one is from @LionsPride. Just an absolute great guy, great account on Twitter. He wants to know, what are some of the top needs for the Detroit Lions offense and defense? And how would you fix those sides of the ball? More so, like, what position would you feel comfortable about adding in the draft and free agency? So a lot there, but just kind of unpack it as like position groups that you're going to focus on, and maybe what would you focus on in free agency, and what would you do the draft positionally to help the team?
Free agency, we talked about this. I believe it's pass rush, and you go get Trey Flowers from New England. I mean, the Lions have, I think, the 14th amount of cap space, which is still a lot. And the guy knows probably Matt's pet system. He's played with him before. He looked pretty good in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. I mean, so that would be the guy I would look to get the pass rush right there. Now, they also need help in the defensive backfield. And I know you know who I like. I like Greedy myself. But if they can get him at 8, if they can trade down, maybe pick up one of the lesser ones. I know you like that kid out of Washington. Sorry, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head.
Byron Murphy, Grifka.
That's right. You like a guy from a school and a conference that doesn't play any defense. So
all right. How about you read up about anybody besides Greedy and then come talk?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll do that. So yeah, defensive backfield. That would be. I would look for Greedy Williams in the draft. I would draft that. And then I'd sign Flowers in the free agent pool for the pass rush help.
All right, well, sounds good. I'm going to be quick on this on my end. I think it's a really great tight end draft. So I think if you're going to help yourself with the tight end, you're going to want to wait till the draft to do so. I think Grifka's right. Everybody's projecting Trey Flowers as our main target. If they could get him as an edge rusher, I think that would be big. And then I'm much more apt to also look receiver in this draft because there's a lot of good receivers, and it's much better to get a drafted receiver than to go out and pay a middle-aged guy that's maybe floundering a bit. I'd rather go get a rookie with kind of an unlimited ceiling type of thing in the 3rd, 4th round, somewhere in that range, maybe 2nd. Grifka, I'm going to take this next one off the top. This is from UK_Detroit Lions, just a huge Detroit Lions fan over in the UK. So we're getting some worldwide flavor here. He wanted to know, is Stafford nearly finished? Should you go get a young quarterback or maybe develop somebody over the next few years? So you kind of just gave your take that you like him. I'm much more so on just sort of riding this next year out. You don't want to take the cap hit. He's got an incredible arm. He, is smart enough to play the position. He's played quarterback his whole life. I'm not a proponent of drafting a late round quarterback really because I feel like the Lions need to help themselves in so many positions that it's often a waste. Most people think, just get somebody in the 5th round and maybe he'll develop. I think that rarely happens. You should either go with your current guy or draft a guy in the 1st or 2nd round if you really want to try to have a chance. So UK_Detroit Lions, I say just hang in there. Hope Matt Stafford has a huge bounce back year. And then, if he does, love it. If he doesn't, start thinking backup plans either the next year or the following year after that. So I think we got about at least another year or 2 to sort of figure out where he's at and hoping he can bounce back and play great football. Next one for you, Grifka, another one from @Detroit or @Lions Pride. Sorry. It says, Oh, this is a great one for you. I'm glad I'm bouncing this to you. Is it worth re-signing LeGarrette Blount, or do you free up cap space and bank on Carry-On and the rest of the backs they bring in? Man, this should take you about 2 seconds to answer this one.
Yeah, sorry, LeGarrette. Let me call the Uber for you myself.
Oh man, it's so crazy how this guy played so great the last 2, 3, 4 years, and then he comes to the Lions on a decent contract and just didn't show up. I think he's a great locker room guy, but yeah, I mean, unless he takes like a veteran minimum, just to kind of stay around and be a veteran guy and maybe make a few plays, because he did make a few plays in the year, but just not anywhere near where we needed him to. And we want Carry-On touch the football. So yeah, Garrett Blount, you got to go. No doubt about it. Last one here. This is from Mike, the GM, the CEO. As we talked about last week, he sent us in a good question. This is a good one, Griffith. This is one for you. Would you sign Tevin Coleman, Mark Ingram, or get a second round type running back, or wait till the later rounds? He gave you 4 options there.
Okay. If it came down to like signing a running back and my choices were Tevin Coleman and Mark Ingram, I think Mark Ingram's game is a little better, but I think he's also more expensive. So I would go with Tevin Coleman. I like Tevin Coleman's game as well. So I think you get him a little cheaper. But out of those options, I would look to try to get a running back in one of the later rounds of the draft. Out of those 3 options right there, that would be the one I would look forward to. I mean, Carry-On's going to be your main one. I still, like I said, I still think Theo Riddick has a role on this team. It seemed like, I don't know if they're going to keep Zach Zenner around for what he did later in the year, but I would try to find a backup later in the draft.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I'm right there with you. I mean, I'm not a fan of Tevin Coleman, really. He's hurt a lot. He makes a few splash plays, but I don't think he fits. Carry-On can do sort of what he can do. Mark Ingram, yeah, he's a little bit more of a banger, but you said it. He's too expensive and just too far down in his career. And this is a great running back group, too. I mean, not at the top, but throughout like the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, I think you're going to find some gems there. So grab one of those guys, compliment him. Or like I said, I think on a previous show, Mike Davis out of Seattle, he's probably going to be the guy heading out of town with all the running backs they have over there. I mean, he can catch, he can bang. He's young. I would get a guy like that and address it that way. If you're going to, I think they do need to add, but I also think they need to know, hey, I think we might have something special in Carry-On. So I don't think it's that big of a need actually to add a expensive asset in the running game. But thank you guys. Those are the questions we pulled out for this week. I'll be looking get more later in the week, next week, and then after me and Griff get through these Koolaid rewinds, we're definitely going to be hitting you guys up for tons of questions as we want to answer what you want to know and want to just talk Lions as we get into free agency, draft, and beyond. So thank you, everybody that's sent those in. We hope we address those for you. So Griff, it's about that time, man. You got anything else for the people?
Of course not.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to the Koolaid Cast. We'll be back at you later this week. Dropping on Friday morning there with another Detroit Koolaid Cast. We thank you for the support, the questions, the love. We'll get back at you guys later this week. Thanks so much for checking in. We'll check you guys later. We're out.
Pack the bags, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.